Welcome to the podcast with your good friend and host, Loopy, and I'm joined, of course, with the lovely Jocelyn. Say hi, Jocelyn.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Joss, and again, it's so much fun being back, and I'm ready to go. Ready to go. Let's go, Loop.
Well, hey, what's really cool about this podcast is we're now joined by a third member of our crew. It gives me great pleasure to introduce to all of you DJ Geo-C. What's going on, my friend?
What's up, my man? I'm doing really good, really excited, glad to be here, and looking forward to it, man. Let's get it going.
Let's get it going, and for some of you who heard our previous podcast, we were talking about predictions, and we were giving evaluations and things about what we think was going to happen in this movie that came out, like April 27th. See, originally it was May, but now it's April 27th. But see, when you hear that music, you're getting a little hyped up now, aren't you? Because I don't know about y'all, but for me, every time I hear this music, it's like I'm good to go. It sets me up. So we could only be talking about Avengers Infinity War, which happened April 27th, came out. And just for all you fine folks that are wondering, well, how's it doing? Well, Infinity War has made, let's take a look, folks. For all you folks that are wondering how much money Infinity War has made, here we go. Just for you, a grand total right now. Infinity War within 12 days of the release has made $1.16 billion. I said billion, folks. $1 billion in 12 days.
That's a good paycheck.
Definitely. Oh, man, I wish I would have done my Disney stock. Oh, man. Anyways, so opened up, obviously taking over the previous weekend release of another Disney product, Star Wars, Force Awakens, The Force Awakens. And now it's just taken off. It's really taken off. And you know, Disney, of course, we'll talk about it in a future podcast, but Disney, of course, is just making money. I think they're printing their own money, guys. I mean, just how well they've done with these movies. I mean, Geo, you weren't with us when Joss and I were talking about Black Panther, but that movie itself was making a lot of money for Disney. So it's real interesting with this one. It's making a bunch of money, and obviously, we're going to talk about this movie, so let's get to it. I know all you folks are like, hey, can you just shut the heck up and let's talk about the movie? Let's talk about the movie. All right, so here we go. So when you hear that music, you were pumped up, ready to go, and the first thing you see, if you guys saw the previous Thor movie, it kind of sets you up there. So
yeah. Oh, hold on. I think we should warn people. There are spoilers, so just heads up.
Yes. So if you are currently listening to this podcast, that means you have already seen this movie and would like to chime in with your comments and your questions, which we will be free to open up at the end. But right now, let's set it up, folks. So, opening scene, it just takes place right after the ending of the Thor movie, the previous Thor movie, and wow, what a scene. Right there.
That was already very morbid to begin with.
Exactly.
I wasn't prepared for just picking off, from that last scene. And I had to think back, like, wait, what just happened? But then I was able to recall that they had just left, in that spaceship. And to me, when I last saw Thor, I was like feeling good. I was like, okay, they escaped, and so they're headed to Earth. But yet, what? So that's kind of how I felt.
But I liked it. I kind of liked it because it's very true. Well, not very true, but it's supposed to be like 10 years of building up to this movie. So to me, it establishes kind of what's his name? Kind of drawing a blank. Thanos as like this really huge, like big bad guy. Like when I saw him on the screen, I was like legit, like, oh my god, this dude means business. You know what I mean? Just that the whole first scene sets it up. And I liked it. I'm glad that they set it up that way because it's like, hey, this is. The ish is getting real. It's going to hit the fan.
What do you think about the first? What do you think about the first couple deaths? Because to me, honestly, when I was watching, I was like, "Wait, what? That was quick."
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, like I never thought I'd feel sad for like a villain being killed, but when they took out Loki, I was like, oh no, because you see Thor, like his reaction, it's like that of like I've lost everything, and it hits you. You know what I mean? Then when Thanos is there, it's just this whole, I don't care. All I care about is what I need to get. I care about the stones.
Exactly.
Like that's his mission. He's very, very focused on what he wants.
Like you guys, when I saw that, I was like, whoa. And you guys have just said it. It totally set up the movie that, hey, this isn't happy times. It's the man is here now. The man is here to take care of business. And to see Loki, it's like, and when you just said there will be no resurrections this time, to me that seems a bit.
Yeah, that's a good quote. I'm glad you brought that back up.
Like he's not coming. He, to me, told us this guy ain't coming back. Don't even worry about it. He's done. And then of course,
no, go ahead, Lou.
And of course, seeing Heimdall die. You know, all the Idris fans out there, I know they were crying, but just to see how he went too, but that's what I like, how he went. You know, he took care of business, helped out Thor, and actually sent the Hulk. And again, we're going to talk about him, but the Hulk is there. He was getting his licks in, then he gets pounded really hard by Thanos, and then it's like he knocked everything out of, I don't know if that punch he hit him with just knocked every angry aspect out of the Hulk, but it's like,
I think it was, you know what? I think when that battle actually happened, when that fight happened between with Hulk and Thanos, I think it was the first time, and maybe just for us as viewers watching, the MCU, that's like, hey, the Hulk is now up against someone, almost even keeled, but even stronger than him. And we haven't really seen that so far. So that really kind of just kind of shook him. But and I think it just shook his confidence. He lost his swag, okay? He
Definitely.
lost his green swag. That's what I got to say.
Perfect.
But I also want to say this one thing with Loki. You know what? When I saw Loki the first time, and, he was doing his business of just being mischievous, trying to just survive. And I think that's just what he does. He will just go to whatever side he can just to survive. Doesn't matter who he sells out to, as long as he just keeps on going. So for him to actually, to die, I was like, wait, what? And so that totally shocked me. But also, I have a viewer on my YouTube channel. He actually predicted that. So I was like, well, wow, he got it right.
Yeah,
but I was
got
just
points
surprised
on
at the whole beginning.
Go ahead, G.
Yeah, but I also think that with the Hulk, I think it was great because it just shows the audience more of what, hey, Thanos is what he's really about. I mean, I'm not going to name another Marvel movie, well, not even Marvel, another franchise where they had another purple villain, which I was like, okay, I'm not even scared about. But dude, but Thanos, like he legit, I was like, oh, I feel like a kid again. Watching like Darth Vader come on screen for the first time again, I was like, "Oh my gosh!" It brought you that legitimate like, this guy's here to take names and whoop butts, and he doesn't care about names.
Exactly, and that you are so correct on that. The fact that Thanos came on and he was a legitimate, you were scared of him. Guys were scared, and I think also with the Hulk being, and again, I'm going to just give my opinion with the Hulk. It was rather disappointing seeing him just turn into a coward basically for the rest of the movie. I think later on maybe we're going to find something out with like Banner and the Hulk. They're actually trying to, there's something going on obviously within them. But just the fact that I've always thought Hulk was a guy that would literally go out swinging, and just maybe, like you said, Thanos just is the real deal. He's not somebody that you take lightly. And suddenly he just establishes himself that, hey, I'm the big baddie and you're going to take it type of thing. And you just, see it there.
With that being set up, as far as like with the Hulk, right? And so now he's scared to come out, like we saw in the movie, and you saw Bruce, he's like, come on, get out of here. And, he's like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're having like this, split personality conversation, like, come on out, and it's happening in that helmet and stuff. But I just think, you know what, something's bound to happen, or that's going to trigger something. And then with the next Avengers, I think he's just going to come back full force. That we're going to be like, with Return of the Jedi, we're like, go. Exactly. But I think that's just setting it up as far as just seeing his soft side, his weakness, even though we're not used to that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's just all about that character development. But I think it's just going to make us cheer him on, like when the fight really does happen.
Okay.
The next one.
So we see Heimdall just transport Hulk to Earth, sends him to Earth, and guess where he crashes? He crash lands where Dr. Stephen Strange is, and right there, the protector of the Time Stone, which is all interesting how he was sent there of all places, but hey, he had to send him somewhere. So he sent them to Earth, and I guess the point was to send them to where the other Infinity Stone would be. Sent them over there, and of course, there's Doctor Strange right there. And it's great. You see the establishment that, hey, things are starting to get serious now. So you got Doctor Strange, you got Wong there, and obviously Banner tells Doctor Strange what's going on. So the next scene after credits, we see good old Tony Stark and Pepper Potts doing I guess they were jogging in the park or something. So they're enjoying the day and stuff. And here comes Doctor Strange out of nowhere and just kind of, that just comes out. Just comes out and says, hey, we got business. And that was really interesting how that happened. And just what's cool about it too was it established, again, a lot of establishing stuff here. How Tony Stark, he was pretty much quote unquote done being, Iron Man and all that, but yet he still wore something. And that's what Pepper kind of called out, like, wait, I thought you're done with all this, but no, he's still holding on. It's like the guy who's kind of carrying a gun type of thing. It's like, look, I know, I did just in case something happens, so he's kind of just ready to do that deal. So Gio, what do you think on that? When Doctor Strange, I liked it for me, I like it when a character meets another character. What was your thoughts when you saw Doctor Strange and Tony Stark meet each other, and just the conversation too that they had going?
I liked it because it was like, so Tony Stark, of course, egotistical and, all about himself, but also it's almost like that's who Doctor Strange used to be.
Exactly.
If you remember the movie.
Yes.
So when he came across him, it's kind of like, okay, I see how the kind of person you are. So, because you're basically me.
Yeah.
But also going back to the lone gunman thing, it's very true. Because remember, Tony Stark had PTSD.
Yes.
And it was shown, so it's almost like it is like something he always wants to have just in case.
Definitely.
And I love the interaction. I really did. It was great, but also I think Spider-Man definitely rounded that out as well when he showed up and met them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also what I wanted to say with that, do you remember when, what I also liked was when Bruce, he was actually explaining who Thanos was and how it all stemmed from 6 years ago. And remember when Tony's like, wait, 6 years ago? That's when it all started. This is the guy who's been responsible for it. I mean, it just totally piqued your interest. You saw his eyes turn totally wide, like, oh my God, this is the reason why I've been going through all that PTSD.
And also, what's great is they kind of how like you said, when the Hulk crashed, it showed that genuine fear. So,
yes.
And like Lou, you touched on a topic where it's like Hulk is the kind of guy who'll go out swinging, but it's like for him to have that genuine fear, it's like. That is emphasized again to the audience, like, hey, this is not your everyday villain. This is someone that could literally destroy everybody and wants to. Like, that's his mission.
Pretty much. It's like...
What do you guys think about... no, go ahead, Lou. I was going to say this, though, real quick.
Yeah, I was just going to...
think about Iron Man's new costume?
Liked it. The new suit. It seems like every movie comes out with a new armor. It's like he has new fashion armor all the time. Well, he is Tony Stark, so he can make the latest and greatest, I guess. It's like driving a Ferrari. You're kind of tweaking it a little bit. I think that's what I see whenever it comes to Tony Stark and his armors. You could just... Oh,
hell yeah. Yeah, it's like, we got the new model, huh? All right, cool.
Yeah, I got the modern version, That's the great thing about him. He's just... That's what one of the great things about Tony Stark is that he was able to and we're going to talk about this here, since the first movie in that long time ago, 10 years ago, when he was in the cave building out that big old armor suit to where he's at now, where he could just hit a button on his chest and then here comes the whole armor. And the armor that came out wasn't just your garden variety. No, it was top of the line stuff too. See, so just to see all of that in development, we're going to talk about this the whole podcast, how all these characters, since we first saw them to where we're at with them now, is just excellent to see. And how you talked about it, Tony Stark's armor. I mean, every movie it seems to improve, and definitely he goes with the times. Right after, let's kind of move this a little quicker now. So after that, they go back home. You know, Steve, they go, Cap, where do we go? He goes home. So they end up going back to the new Avengers base, and right there we see the general. Is he a general or is he a secretary? I forgot. Or is he a senator now? I forgot what. Oh, geez, Geo, you're gonna help me on this. What's his name again?
Man, I keep wanting to say Kelly, but I know that's not.
Yeah, no, that's a different.
Yeah, no, different. Yeah.
I think he's he was a general. Oh, jeez, I forgot his name, but basically the guy William Hurt plays. See?
Okay, William Hurt.
Yeah, well, William Hurt's character, which this is bad that we forgot who he is, but basically he's talking to Rhodey, James Rhodes, who again we saw at Civil War.
He plays, Thaddeus Ross, right?
Yes, Ross. That's a General Ross. How sad can we be? How sad can we be to not know General Ross? Bad host. Bad host.
Talking about Black Widow, and
we got distracted. Yes, exactly. So General Ross is talking to Rhodey, saying, "No, well, you're gonna arrest these guys and this and that." And this is the thing about Rhodey. He saw the big picture, And even though Ross called him out that, hey, you signed those accords too. No, he's like, no, but I'm seeing there's a bigger picture going on here. So they come in.
There's a greater threat.
Exactly.
There's a greater threat that you're gonna need. You're gonna need our team who can handle this, because whatever they have military. No, this is far beyond their grade level. They're gonna need this. This is why they were formed.
Exactly. This is why they assembled. See, this is a great point, Joss. This is why they were assembled. And here's the thing too. First time we see Dr. Banner sees the aforementioned Black Widow. It's been a while since they've seen each other. And then Falcon had the line. Awkward. It's a little awkward. So we fast forward now to where we see the Guardians of the Galaxy streaking through the galaxy playing Rubber Band Man, which was really cool. Really cool. I love that part. Playing Rubber Band Man. They're coming in. They get a distress call. They're here to rescue some ship. They get there and they just see nothing but pieces, because obviously Thanos blew up the ship that was holding Thor and basically all of Asgard. Anyways, so they're out there and they're like, well, what are we here for? And lo and behold, the God of Thunder lands on their pod, lands on their roof, and they come in. And this is kind of like the great scene that I know a lot of people love, was the fact that you see Thor there, and then everyone, all the Gamora and Mantis, they're like, ooh, it's the God of Thunder, this and that. And then here comes Star-Lord, trying to establish that he's the alpha male. But it's great how they call him out on it. It's just so great how Rocket just calls him like, Quill, is there something wrong with your voice? It's just great.
No, I always talk this way.
Exactly.
What do you mean? What do you mean, guys?
I know. It's like, what are you talking about? And then, it's funny how when he goes, wait, did you call me fat? And then you hear all this conversation. If you hear what Quill's saying, he goes, that's it. I'm gonna get a Bowflex. You're hearing all that. It's just great how he's talking about all this stuff while there's something really important going on here where they're trying to wake Thor up, and he wakes up, and obviously Thor breaks the news to him that, oh, by the way, Thanos now has 2 Infinity Stones. And the first one he said he got it from the Nova Corps. So guess what, Joss? That one prediction we had about that one stone, Thanos already established he got the Power Stone, so we can.
He got that one.
He got it, so we can only assume then that he destroyed the Nova Corps. We can only assume that he destroyed the Nova Corps. He obviously has the second stone that he got, obviously from Loki. Yeah, so he got that. Well,
from the collector.
Not yet, though. Not yet. We're still at the part where he's talking to the Guardians, trying to tell them, hey, he's got two stones. And then, so all of a sudden, Gamora starts tripping a little bit, like, we need to go where Thanos is right now. And see, Thor, he has a better battle plan. He's like, no, we don't need to go there. We need to go somewhere where we can get a weapon to kill him. And I like how everybody, even Rocket's, weapons to kill. Oh, hey, all right, I'm in. Rocket's in on that one for sure. But see, the great thing about that, though, is, Thor is already thinking, okay, we need to kill this guy. While you see Gamora now, there's something up here. There's something going on where all of a sudden she realizes now Thanos has two stones, and she's like, we need to stop Thanos. So, as Rocket puts it, okay, the morons over here will go and they will try to stop Thanos while, your captain here and what do you call him? The god? No, he called him like angel wings or something. He called him something, but basically Thor, Groot, and Rocket take off to go get new weapons, to get a weapon to kill Thanos, while the Guardians, they're on their way now to try to cut off Thanos to get that third stone.
Right, in which they also made mention, if you remember Gamora, she had that look on her face because she knew what stone that he was going to be looking for.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
And she had that secret, which I was totally surprised about. But also, let's just talk real quick about, how Thor, and just his presence just being there. He just made himself at home. He just opens up the fridge, like, hey, that's our food. He's like, oh, it's mine now. And, he's just got nicknames. And he's like, yo, Rocket. It's like, Rabbit.
Yeah, that's great.
It's just like, he was just so funny. I thought, Liam Hemsworth, he was hilarious as Thor. He just like, nope, I'm the leader, like you just said, and he was just like, and they just went with it.
Oh, definitely.
It was just so funny. He was so funny.
Well, Gio, what do you think? I mean, the God of Thunder, all muscular like that, he comes in, he's gonna, and he kind of has his own little demands. He's gonna
have his little cockiness, of course. I think also, that Thor was great was that whole scene where you see his vulnerability, and it's like, hey, because in the comics, they're not gods, but they are perceived as gods by people because of the strength. So it's almost like I can die, and I've lost literally everything: my people, my dad, my mother, my brother. So it's like you see that whole. He's trying to hold it together, you know what I mean? But it's that huge. See, he's vulnerable all the way around, and I think that's great. That again, just the whole character development. If you remember him from the very first Thor movie, he was super cocky,
definitely
arrogant,
yes.
And now you see him where he's just taking more of this. I got to do what I got to do. I've lost my people. I can't lose anymore.
Yeah, definitely. So,
and then it was cool though, seeing Gamora grab his muscle, and he's like, "Hey, you don't gotta grab his muscles."
Yeah, you don't have to grab. Stop grabbing his muscles now. It's great. But yeah, I love your point about Thor. I love your point about Thor. When we first saw Thor, he was this arrogant, cocky guy who thought everything was owed to him, to where he literally lost everything. His people, his family. Look, even though he was dueling with his sister, it was his sister he found out.
Yeah.
His father died, and then he sees Loki and then Hemel, and it's like, everybody's gone. I mean, his crew is gone. We saw how his crew was gone in the third movie. And so that's why you're right on that, how he's kind of vulnerable, and it's kind of like he also had the, I got nothing to lose, and I'm going to make sure I get mine on Thanos before he gets whatever he plans on getting. So that's what I really liked about what he did. So, okay, so...
And
go ahead.
And also when you just mentioned the vulnerability, I think that's also a theme, with this movie alone.
Mm-hmm.
When we talked about Hulk, we talked about Thor, we're talking about Iron Man, Vision, all of the characters that we hold on to. in this movie in particular, they're definitely showing their vulnerabilities and showcasing them in a way that it's, we're not used to it. And we're not used to seeing them in this element because we're so used to seeing them, just like call to action and move. But now Thanos is just, caught them off balance. That it's difficult for them to find their footing. So that's where we're seeing, like not exactly the weaknesses, but yes, the vulnerabilities in these characters. And so that's why I think it even makes us movie viewers, it just makes it more of an emotional connection to them. Because we want to root for them, but we know it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better into this movie.
I think what Geo said, he established it. He said it in the beginning of our podcast here, the fact that Thanos was the character that he's the evil character that is the real deal. He's not, as much as you're used to the heroes always prevailing at the end, and we're going to get to it, all of a sudden, like you said, the vulnerability, like, hold up a second. We're not winning. Usually we'd be winning, or usually we would get this or we would get that. No, you got guys that are so far by this point, you've had half the people, like I said, Thor lost so much right now. And, all these guys are losing people now. So we've seen characters all of a sudden are being killed and everything. So we have the two groups going to two separate locations, and let's just keep on that point. So we have the Guardians that head into, I guess it's nowhere, right?
Nowhere.
Yes, they head into nowhere, and they go in, cloak mode, they're now. And let's establish before they get there, Gamora makes Star-Lord promise to kill her if Thanos gets a hold of her. She tells him, "Kill me." And it's like, whoa, what's up? But so she tells him that. And right there, you kind of wonder, look, when obviously you knew Gamora would have certain feelings whenever Thanos' name is brought up and Thanos has this, Thanos has that. You knew she would react a certain way. But then all of a sudden, here we go with this. When she tells that to Star-Lord, that's kind of like a, whoa, what's that about? So.
And also remember that background story where it actually showed Thanos, meeting with him and Gamora meeting for the first time.
Yeah,
and how he took over his planet, and then he shielded her. Remember that?
Oh yeah,
while his man killed the rest of the people on her planet, he shielded her. He turned her around and had her focus on something else, and then took her on, took her as his own. So she was also experiencing that too, from what she known, and now all this was happening.
Okay, Geo, you were saying?
No. I was saying that's crap. I just lost my train of thought.
Well, we're talking about Thanos and Gamora, their relationship, and how.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. It was when you knew it was serious when she said, "I want you to make that promise on your mother."
Yes.
Because,
yes.
Yeah, that's when I heard that. I was like, ooh, that kind of sent chills. Like, ooh, man, what does she know that she doesn't want to tell Quill?
Yeah, so, I mean, we'll get to it. We were kind of making guesses on what it was, but yeah, at that point, you're like, whoa, she made him promise that. So that's interesting.
But didn't you like how at that serious tone, all of a sudden we see, who is that in the background, just being invisible?
Drax. And he was invisible for a whole hour. They didn't see him. So
but that's another thing. Going back to the pacing, it was great because you get a serious moment, and then it's like, oh hey Drax.
I know, because how long you been standing there? 1 hour. It's just great.
He's like, if I stand so still, no one can see me. And then he just demonstrated while eating a chip.
Yeah, exactly. So that is great. That is great. So here we go. We're at nowhere now. And so the Guardians their mission is to stop Thanos. And obviously they want to get to the Collector and get the gems before Thanos does. So they get out there. They silently get in. They see Thanos there with the Collector threatening him and everything. And then you see Thanos just throw the Collector right into one of his little exhibit containers, and then here they go. And Gamora just couldn't take it. She's like, "That's it. We're going. I'm going after him." And goes after him and then stabs him right through the heart. And you're like, whoa, she actually did it. And then, you see her crying and being emotional about it. And Josh, you just mentioned how Thanos, quote unquote, saved her when he invaded her planet. So here we go. And so there was a bit of, I don't know what those tears were actually like her killing her father, or just tears of, I finally did it. I was able to get the goal.
I think they were mixed emotions.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a sense of just bittersweetness where, you're bitter about this man, but yet there's almost like a debt of gratitude for just being alive. But yet there's this guilt of like, why should I even honor or respect this man for what he has done? Exactly. So I think, for her, those kind of tears, it's like, it's probably just so much of a inner turmoil that she's having, and there's just no other way to express it but just in that moment.
Yeah,
so I think that's what's kind of happening with her.
Yeah, Gio, your thoughts on that?
And then,
sorry,
go ahead.
I agree. I think it was a mixed emotions. It was like relief, like, oh, this is over, but it's also like, I'm alive because of him, because he did save me.
Yeah,
and it's all that, the years of just hatred, and just it's a double-edged sword. So for her, I think it was definitely. But I think I was leaning more towards the sad part, where it's like, yeah, you were this father figure as much as I didn't want you to be, but it did hurt her. But she also knew that she had to, because if he survives, then it's over.
Yeah, except for the universe.
Yeah.
But lo and behold, we realize Thanos already has the stone, which is the reality stone. So he put a different reality for us to see. And he basically cleaned house when he got there. And because honestly, you're sitting there going, wow, is it that easy to kill Thanos? Just a shot to the heart. That's it, but then you start to realize that no, we're seeing something else. And sure enough, it's the reality stones Thanos was using to give them the reality, like this is what's happening, when really it wasn't. And at that moment, and there it is, there was the moment of truth. He gets Gamora, and Gamora tells Quill's right there, point blank range.
Oh, yeah.
You promised me. And honestly, guys, that's probably the toughest decision to do, to actually kill somebody that you love. And I love how he summed up their relationship. He goes, it's the boyfriend. He goes, no, I'm more the Titan kicking booty call. That was great. That was a great line, but it's obvious that they have feelings for each other. And it was the first time they actually said it, I think. I love you to each other.
Yeah.
And he pulled the trigger. And I love Thanos's answer. He just goes, what did he say? I like this kid, right?
I like you, boy.
Yeah, I like you, boy. Because that means he would have done what needed to be done, type of thing.
Yeah.
So obviously when he fired, it wasn't any blasters. It was just bubbles, and Thanos and Gamora take off. So that's it. They're gone. Now let's get back to what's going on that spaceship where Doctor Strange was kidnapped, and Tony Stark and Peter Parker, otherwise known as Iron Man and Spider-Man, are at. And again, we talk about the whole Peter Parker being the young kid. He's talking about this old movie called Alien. And he remembers seeing it. So he comes up with the game plan, and they end up, freeing Doctor Strange by getting the guy that kidnapped them. They suck him out and everything. So it's all good. So they got the ship, and Doctor Strange goes, okay, let's turn around. Let's go back home. Can you pilot us home? And Tony Stark just looks at Strange and goes, no, we're not going to go back home. And you talk about, I think, Josh, you brought up the fact, or one of you guys talked about the PST that he had, a PTS.
Or the PTSD.
PTSD.
Yeah.
And he even said it. He goes, I've had nightmares about this ever since.
For 6 years.
Yeah, the time he pushed the nuke into the hole and came out. He's been having that since. So, and I like the idea. He goes, let's take the fight to him. And I love Doctor Strange's answer. He just goes, okay, well, if that's the case, let's do it. Can you pilot us? All right, good. And then that's where obviously we see the scene where Dad tells the son, you're a man. And he officially makes him an Avenger right there at that moment. So let's.
But also, that's the moment when I love the introduction speech between Peter and Doctor Strange. And he's like, so He's like, "Hi, I'm Peter," and he goes, "Hi, I'm Doctor Strange." And then Peter goes, "Oh, okay, we're using our fake names. Okay, hi, I'm Spider-Man."
That was just great. Like Gio said, it's just the timing of all the comedy was just perfect. That was great. That was great. So, okay, let's fast forward a little bit now. Let's get back to Earth and what's going on here at Earth and the fact that, Captain America and the crew over here, we have Captain America, we have War Machine, we have Falcon, we have Black Widow, we have the Scarlet Witch, and we have an injured Vision. And, Vision needs to get, and of course, Bruce Banner, and Vision needs some help. We need to repair him. Let's think of a spot that we could fix somebody who needs technology. Well, Stark ain't here, so we can't go
off the grid.
We can't go to we can't go to Stark Industries.
And Radio Shack doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So let's think. It dawns on Steve that I think there's a spot that just might be able to help us. And the next thing we see is Wakanda. It's just so awesome. We see Wakanda, and the first thing we see T'Challa there, and he's walking, and what are they doing? They're finding the Winter Soldier. They get Bucky, they give him his new arm, and he immediately says it. He just goes, "Where's the battle?" And he's saying, it's coming.
It's coming. It's coming.
It. So, boom, right here. So we go into Wakanda. Now, this is interesting how they go to Wakanda, and they talk about the complexities of the stone being in Vision, and they say, well, if you take the stone out of Vision, then he's gone, and all of a sudden, T'Challa's younger sister just, what are you talking about? No? You guys have been able to do, didn't you guys just do, I love how she just said, didn't you guys do this, and that? And you have Bruce Banner.
Yeah, Bruce is like, yeah, we did that.
Bruce Banner. Exactly. One of the smartest guys on the planet going, yeah. So the big plan is like, okay, let's take the stone out, but we could still have Vision. So the game plan is,
or I think what they were trying to do, what she was trying to do, they were saying, well, let's see if we can replicate it. Mm-hmm. See if we can find a way to replicate that type of power, that type of stone, so that the stone wouldn't come off. Or if it did come off, there was another power source that could still help Vision.
Basically, she said, hey, let's back up, because Vision's basically essentially a computer.
Yeah.
Back him up, everything, and get the stone off, because the stone is giving him power, but also made him weak and vulnerable. So, hey, we're taking all the good stuff, putting it on a hard drive, and we'll build, a new computer, essentially, which is Vision. So they're trying. I think that's what she was doing, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we could have done that, but oops."
Yeah, we didn't think of that. It's good. And let's establish too how Banner explained what Vision was. He's a creation of Ultron, Banner, Stark. What else did he say? The stone itself. See, so all this stuff is really his essence, and that's good how they were going to separate him from the stone, which is excellent. So obviously the stone is in play here, and obviously Thanos' guys know that. So battle time in Wakanda, which is awesome. So they got the shield going on, the technology, and here it comes. The forces come in, and battle time. We're setting that up. There's going to be the big battle where all the army comes in and they're ready to face off against. I like this team though. We got Black Panther, we got War Machine, we got Falcon, we have the Black Widow, we have also Scarlet Witch, and we have
Scarlet Witch was up in the tower.
Yeah, up in the tower. Then obviously we have the Royal Guard with T'Challa, and then that one tribe also, the fighters that came in that said, we're going to fight with you. We got that.
They were gorillas. Yeah. They were part of the gorilla tribe or something
exactly.
like that.
See, so that's really cool. So we're set to go. So we got some heavy hitters good to go. And then I guess since Hulk doesn't want to show up, we'll put him in a Hulkbuster. All right. So here we go. So we got that going on. We're setting that up for the big battle. Now let's go to the other side of the galaxy where Thor's trying to get that new weapon to kill Thanos. He shows up, and lo and behold, the place is pretty much dormant, and it's established that Thanos has already gotten there. the creator of the Gauntlet. Who's the creator of the Gauntlet, Geo? Can you let us know who that guy is, or is he? He's the man that. Yeah, he's the man that's created a lot of the weapons for Asgardians. Am I correct to say that?
Yeah. His name is Eitri.
Okay, so he
the blacksmith, who's a midget, who's a million feet tall. But hey.
Yeah, that's isn't it, guys? Isn't it great that Peter Dinklage, right? Am I saying his name correctly? He played this character. The characters
people were clapping.
Yes,
when he popped on screen.
This character, like you described this character. What is this character supposed to be, Gio?
He's a blacksmith, and he's made pretty much all the major weapons in the universe.
Yes.
Okay. He made Thor's hammer, Odin's weapon, and I'm drawing a blank. The guy that was killed at the very beginning. What was his name?
Heimel.
I'm sorry, Heimel. Yes, he made his weapon as well. So for centuries, they've made these ultra powerful weapons in the universe, and so of course when they show up, he's like the last survivor, and it's bad. It's super sad when he talks about what had happened to his peoples.
Exactly. Now, but as a character, what is he? He's supposed to be a giant, right?
Yeah, but they call him.
Yeah. See, isn't that interesting? The guy they had playing the giant is him, and that's what I like you said, Gio. I appreciated it. I said, great actor. I love it. I loved it. I love how they set that up. But yeah, obviously Thor now, he needs a new weapon. He needs a new weapon because obviously his hammer was destroyed in the previous Thor movie, and he needs something to kill Thanos. So
yeah,
he sums up his own powers, and he takes, what's it, the heat or the light of the star of the sun, basically, right?
Yeah.
To help get the factory going, I guess, to build the weapon, to get the iron going, and boom, lo and behold, we got a new hammer, but it needs a handle. And what does Groot do? The teenage Groot, the guy who's moping, who just wants to do his own thing.
Oh, the teenage Groot just playing video games.
Yes, playing video games the whole time, not caring about a thing, just telling people he's Groot and not caring. He snaps off one of his limbs to use to carry that hammer. So that's awesome. It's a hammer axe, or what would you call it? What would you guys call it? Just an axe then?
Well, yeah, they call it Stormbreaker, but yeah, it's an axe. Yeah,
it's an axe. Okay.
Yeah, but we also got it. Kind of not to rewind a little bit. Is he has his eye back? Thor has both of his eyes.
Oh yeah. Well, who gave him that other eye?
Oh my God, we forgot. It came from It came from Rabbit.
Yeah.
It came from Rabbit. He said, "Here, I got one of these for you."
I love the line. I goes, I would have washed that first. That was great.
Yes.
That was awesome. But yeah, we had Thor with the one eye, and then finally has two, in case some of you folks are wondering, well, how the heck did he get two eyes? Well, Rocket had a spare. So that's great.
And like Rocket said, don't ask how I smuggled it.
Exactly. So let's go to the other side of the universe, where obviously Thanos kidnapped Gamora, and we see Gamora there, and he's trying to appease her, being like the dad, like when she was a kid, offering her favorite food, and she just gets it and chucks it right at the chair. And I love this, how she just goes, "I've always hated that chair." And he tells her, I've always thought you would sit in it one day, which is interesting. That's an interesting thing. So
again, we're seeing this father-daughter.
Yes.
So to him, to Thanos, I mean, it looks to me like he's always viewed her, and I know she's his favorite daughter, but he did view himself as a father, and to have those type of feelings. But it's interesting, she never saw him that way. She never saw him that way. And to think, he was thinking, okay, you're going to carry on the family business.
Yeah, type of thing.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm not. And by the way, you killed half my people. So, and this is something we're going to talk about towards the end there, but he touched on it a little bit here. What was, again, we're going to talk about in the end, what was the motivation for Thanos in this whole movie? Okay, we're going to talk about that in the end, but they talk about a little bit, in my opinion here, where she goes, you killed half my people. And he goes, it benefited though. Look where they're at now. They're not starving. They're not. And to me, that's kind of like a message, Joss, you and I talked about this in previous podcasts about how when it comes to deep messages, you get comic movies and science fiction films and things like that. They could send a message like this, in a movie form that, gets out there. And obviously, I believe Thanos was basically saying about overpopulation and the fact how, look, now they could feed themselves. Now that your society is this and that when I killed half your people. See, so that's where it kind of gets deep in the storyline. But yeah, we'll continue with that later. But obviously right there, we're wondering what is this big secret Gamora has. We kind of figure it out. And sure enough, he asks, where is the Soul Stone? Now, Josh, you and I had our picks where it was.
We had our opinions. We're like,
and
Wakanda.
Yeah, we thought it was in Wakanda. We thought it was in that sand area where you dream and, you could get it there. I followed somebody's other theory and I jumped on that one. We were totally wrong because the Soul Stone was at another location that Gamora knew about.
Yep.
And who was guarding it? And who was guarding that area? It was Red Skull.
Yeah. Well, the Red Skull shows up. That was awesome.
Nerding out.
Exactly. Before we get to the Red Skull.
I didn't even, at first when I saw it and then that part of the reaction part of me came out, when I do my reactions, where I actually did say out loud in the movie theater, is that the Red Skull?
And you had a lot of shh.
I had to get that part because it's like, wait, I didn't expect it. And I was just under the impression, my understanding, and I guess I had forgot, was that I thought he died, but they're like, no, he didn't die.
He didn't die.
He was vanished to a whole other area.
And
so for Marvel to bring that back up, that totally threw me for a loop. Exactly. I'm like, wait a minute, is that who I think it is?
Yep.
So I thought that was a really cool scene that, made me talk out loud in the theater.
Exactly.
No.
Real quick, because we are going to talk about the Red Skull, before we get to him, though, in order to get Gamora to give up the information where the planet was, what is Thanos doing? He is torturing her sister, Nebula. And finally she gives it up that this is the location. Okay. And that's the thing. You and I were talking about Nebula, how she would be a key in all this. Well, it turns out she was the key that kind of got Gamora to finally give up the location. So here we go. We're at the location. And like you, I was like, well, what is this? Who is this figure? And I'm looking at him. I'm like, wait a minute. That guy looks familiar. I go, and like you, Joss, but I didn't say it out loud. I said it in my head. I think Geo might have said it in his head. I said, holy, and then bleep.
Yep.
That's the bleeping Red Skull. I go, whoa.
Is this the Red Skull?
Yeah, I said it's the Red Skull. And then immediately you think back to Joss when you're talking about, hey, didn't he die? You think about what happened to him in Captain America, the First Avenger. He was in the Tessera and then he got sucked out into another dimension. And it's like, wow, they brought him here. And so I have a theory, which we will finish at the end of our podcast. It's going to be a theory that's going to join with the Red Skull's presence. But it's interesting how the Red Skull is there, and he talked about how I had an Infinity Stone once. I felt its power. He's trying to tell that to Thanos, like, hey, I know what you're experiencing, but it's not really all that. And then he talks about you need to
foreshadowing. I didn't get that.
See, yes. So, but here's a great thing. Now, you guys said Thanos through this movie has been establishing that Gamora is like his dear daughter. Am I correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So obviously, when the Red Skull said you need to sacrifice to get the Soul Stone, a soul for a soul.
Soul for soul.
It was obvious at that moment what was going to happen. But yet inside, I gotta admit, I was kind of thinking like Gamora too, like, wait a minute. You don't care for me that much that if you kill me, you're gonna get the stone. I was kind of feeling that way. But obviously when it happened,
I wasn't prepared for that. To be honest with you.
That was kind of a curveball for me.
Because we were all thinking, and I know it's a big majority, we were thinking, okay, Soul Stone, it's in Wakanda, but in fact, okay, it's over here. So we went on another trip with that.
Yeah.
And then, as they're, in this intimate conversation, they're finally at this point, and Thanos, he knows what he has to do. and she's not even aware. She's just thinking, oh, it's him. But then to realize, that she was the one thing he actually cared about, because he kept calling her his aficionado name for her is little girl or little one, right? Isn't it little one?
That and daughter,
Yeah. And so for her to realize, and I knew it at that point, I just actually felt it in my stomach like, oh no.
You're done.
I didn't expect her to die.
Yeah, well.
And so for that to actually happen and for her to fight it off, it was like, oh my God, But the fact that he did that to just, over whatever he thought of her, that was just cold.
According to the Red Skull, it really, in order to get the soul, you have to give up a soul. And kind of, in a way, I guess he established that Gamora was part of him and it would be part of his soul he would give up if he sacrificed her. Your thoughts, Gio?
I thought it was interesting because he told him, like, look, I paid this ultimate price for a power I thought I wanted. And when she said, you have nothing, why are you crying? He goes, those tears aren't, what do you say? Those tears, they aren't for him or something like that? Yeah, they aren't for me. And that's when you realize, like, whoa, that's how also you knew how serious Thanos was. Like, I will sacrifice anything to get what I want. So it just further instilled to me when I saw that moment, I was like, oh my God, this dude, like, he does not care. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, it's like I'm willing to sacrifice the one thing that I truly hold to my heart, that I treasure, to get this power to, in his mind, probably he's thinking, to make right what is wrong in his world. Because he's a very conflicted character, too. A lot of people don't realize that Thanos is.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
This internally character, but...
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, when you're also talking about his character development, there were times in, like, his discussion or in, like, his dialogue and what he brought, that he thought, like, when we were talking about, he thought what he was doing was for the better good. And so the way he was thinking, the multiverse will be better off in this way. And so for him to actually show, excuse me, his emotions and his feelings towards the one that he actually loved, there was a sense of us, like, like feeling that almost like not even sympathy, but just like, could you really, put yourself in his position to, give up something in order to have a better gain or greater gain? Yeah. And that was, also, in a sense, there's part of me that felt like that was a very difficult decision, but he had to make it anyways in order to get to the ultimate goal of what he wanted to achieve. Yeah, there was a part where I felt like the writers, he brought that up.
Yeah, because, I mean, even early on where he talks about his whole plan was, with his planet, it was, we were going to die. There's only a finite amount of resources. And he thought it was most humane to, hey, we'll do this drawing, this lottery, so to speak, that rich or poor, you each have a chance, And when even going back, when he tells Gamora, but your people are no longer suffering. There are no children with empty stomachs. So in his mind, it's, I am willing to give this up for the better of to make sure everybody else is okay. But a lot of people don't look at it like that. But he looks at it, he's on his noble mission. And what is he willing to sacrifice? And even the Red Skull says that, hey, don't be blinded by your ambitions, because I was at one point, and it's really not everything I expected. I held that power, and I seen what it does. So he did warn him. And as I said, it just shows that this is the kind of character who's willing to do anything to get what he wants.
Wow, that was really interesting that the Red Skull gave him the warning like that. That of all the characters to warn Thanos was the Red Skull, which I found pretty interesting. So obviously he sacrifices Gamora, and during this whole process, Nebula was able to escape Titan, or escape where she was imprisoned, and found her way to where they know Thanos was going to go. And when we get to Titan, where the coordinates where the ship where Doctor Strange and Tony Stark and Spider-Man are on fall, the Guardians follow through too, and we got this little skirmish between the Guardians and Tony Stark, Doctor Strange, and Spider-Man, which was kind of nice a little bit real quick. And then they realize, they go, wait, hold up. Wait, you're not with Thanos? No, we're not. Are you with Thanos? So it's kind of cool how they were like, hold it. wait, we're all trying to get Thanos? Okay, let's team up and
work together.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's even for the fact that when they said, yeah, we met, Thor says this, and then Iron Man's like, wait, you met Thor? And then there was something so funny about you guys are the Avengers or something like that. I can't remember. There was such a funny line.
I thought Star-Lord said a funny line like, "Oh yeah, ugly guy" or something like that. He tried to make it like it was no big deal.
Downplay Thor,
yeah, he's like, "Oh yeah, ugly guy, yeah, that guy, yeah, no big deal." So they all of a sudden realize that they're all trying to get Thanos, and they all, again, what we talked about, everybody who's suddenly putting their own agendas aside, they realize the bigger picture is we need to get Thanos. That is the guy. It's no longer, our individual needs. It's all about trying to get the guy that is now going to be ruling the universe. We got to make sure he doesn't get all the stones. At that point, they didn't know he had all the stones or how many stones he had. So they're trying to make sure that they get it. And what's cool about this too, when they're together, is Doctor Strange, since he is holding the Time Stone, is going through so many scenarios of how this is going to play. And he went through at least over 1 million, didn't he say that? Like
14 million or something, right?
Yeah,
something
he went through so many scenarios, and he just straight up just said, there's only one. At the end of it all, he goes, there's only one that'll make this work. Right here, Vision pretty much is destroyed by the Scarlet Witch, everything, and then Thor. You were saying something, Joss, in the middle of all this?
Oh, I mean, just the fact that, she Scarlet Witch, she thought she did what she had to do, and that was the most heart-wrenching part for her, to actually destroy the Mind Stone, to, destroy his life as far as Vision. But then to have Thanos come along and just unravel the whole thing. Oh, yeah,
definitely. Now, that's the thing I want to say first. Thor comes in, he pretty much puts the new weapon straight into Thanos' heart. It looks like, all right, well, a lot of sacrifice was done, but looks like the good guys won this one. Sure enough.
But what does Thanos say, though?
He says to him, you should have
gone for the head.
You should have gone for the head. And that's when he uses the stone to change it all. And I knew it too. I go, look, he has now the Time Stone, so he's going to go back in time. And sure enough, he changed it all. He got the stone, and there it is. And with that being
said, here's the question I got to ask. What if he just went for the hand? Would that have made a difference?
To cut the hand off? That would have been interesting. I don't,
because they were trying to take the gauntlet off.
Yeah.
Remember earlier on.
That's true. I mean, that would have been interesting if he would have went for the hand.
I mean, he had his axe.
Yeah, that's true. I'm thinking maybe if he would have cut it, interesting call.
You got to remember, he's also lost everything. He's like, I'm out to kill. I don't want this guy alive. I want to get my revenge on my brother, my family, my people.
Yeah, exactly. So he's not really thinking strategy at that point. I think he just wants to kill the guy. So here we go. So with that being said, he has the final stone. And with a snap of his fingers, here's where our pool comes in, and if we were like at the track, we'd be the ones tearing up our tickets and throwing it up in the
air. Yeah, nobody. I think for the people that it's like, wait a minute, I think they're all still alive.
And then boom, all of a sudden, here we go. To my knowledge, from that scene, we see Black Panther.
Black Panther.
We obviously.
We see Bucky Barnes.
Bucky.
Remember, he's like Steve.
Yeah, Falcon. We see, I believe Scarlet Witch too, right? Am I correct?
Scarlet Witch.
Yeah. Then obviously in Titan we see. Oh, and this scene was kind of gut-wrenching, and I know Geo being a Spider-Man guy.
Oh man.
I know. You want to talk about that? Go ahead.
Go ahead, Geo. Talk to us about what happened in Titan.
I got teary-eyed, because this whole time, he's a superhero. He's an Avenger. He's kicking butt. But then, it really, when he started apologizing, that was like, holy crap! It really hit me. Dude, this is a teenage high school Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And it's like he so looks up to Tony. I'm sorry, Mr. Spark. And then when he's like, I don't want to die, I don't want to die.
I don't want to go.
Yeah.
He said that I don't want to go.
And then he apologized. Mom was like, I'm sorry, I failed you as son. Like, and you see the Tony's face just like, he can't do anything. He's powerless. All this technology, everything. He can't do anything.
Perfect wording. He was powerless. All the technology, all his knowledge couldn't save the boy. Look, he had the special suit on, like what we talked about. Couldn't save him at that moment. So obviously at that moment, we see Spider-Man, we see Drax, we see Mantis, we see Star-Lord, we see
Nebula.
I think Nebula survived. Nebula survived, but Doctor Strange, Doctor Strange though faded. Yes, Doctor Strange faded. We saw Nebula.
Nebula. I got a theory about Nebula we'll talk about later.
Yeah, we'll talk about her later. Then, then we're going into at Earth again. We're breaking it down, and here's the thing: when Black Panther dissolved, that's where I went. What the? I immediately went, what the? And I'll explain in a minute why. But dissolving from the face of the earth, from existence, was Black Panther, the Winter Soldier, Falcon. Obviously, Vision was he was done. You know, he was done even before the gems.
In a sense, everyone but the core has
very
dissolved.
Good. Yes,
if you noticed that,
you got that. Yes,
it's everyone but the 6, and not counting Hawkeye, but the core Avengers. They were the ones who still lived.
They're still around. So very good, Josh. Way to observe. You caught that too, right, Gio?
Yeah, no, I did, because I was like, wait a minute, this is interesting, because all the other actors, they were after the first Avengers, and they're the ones that were added on. But the ones who still remained, they had a lot of unresolved issues. And I think that's what's going to be really interesting when it all comes back to it, is like, okay, what happened when we first started? And so that's why I'm like interesting about it.
Kind of brings it all back. So, and then of course, Thanos, the movie basically ends with Thanos like sitting on the throne.
Oh, and I know a lot of people were like, I don't get it.
Sitting on the throne.
And then you remember he did say, what are you going to do when you're done? He goes, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to enjoy the sunset.
Yep, and that's and what. Let me ask, guys, was he enjoying a Wakandan sunset? Remember how Wakanda has the great sunsets? I was wondering. He looked like he was in Wakanda.
So.
I don't know. I could be off on that.
I didn't think it was Wakanda. I felt like
because they were battling in Wakanda right there. Well, I'm thinking they were
went back to his own.
You think he went back? I thought it was the whole Wakandan sunset thing that Killmonger was talking about, and how he was just taking in. The battle did happen at Wakanda that he was at, so I was thinking he was at Wakanda when he was taking in that sunset.
It seemed like, I just felt like during that scene at the ending when it's like, did he have himself a drink?
I know, it's like, hey, having a little brandy on the side, a cigar.
I feel like he had like some sort of drink there. And
exactly.
He was
like
his hut, wearing his sarong,
exactly.
and just like looking at the sunset, like,
so
today was good.
So there it is. We took a long time. It was a blockbuster movie. So of course we had to have a blockbuster show about it. But obviously we're going to talk about when it gets to the very end. Again, cardinal rule. If you are watching a Marvel movie, you need to stay until the house lights come on. It's comedy. I saw a couple of people get up. I'm like, really?
Actually, so I had to say in my movie theater, I was actually pleasantly surprised that
everybody stayed. Good.
And I was like, okay, now these are Marvel viewers.
Yes, these are the folks that understand. So we established that all of a sudden we see Maria Hill and Nick Fury, and they see the invasion happening, and all of a sudden they get out. They wonder what's going on, and lo and behold, people are disappearing right in front, and Maria Hill's the first one to go, and people around them are going, and Nick Fury sees what's up, goes in the back, gets the sends out the page, and Gio and I love this. Nick Fury, before he's gonna go out, and that's what I love about this Marvel movie when it comes to Nick Fury and Samuel Jackson. They do a lot of Samuel Jackson things in the movie, and they had Samuel Jackson say one of his most famous things he always says, but obviously in a PG version. And the way he went out, and Geo and I have talked about this, Joss, the way Nick Fury went out, he kind of went out like Tony Stark in a way. He knew he was going to die, but he goes, wait, before I go, I'm going to do this first. Sure enough, he sends a page. And then here's the great thing. So everybody in the movie theater, if you knew what it was, you're kind of like, oh, okay, you're cheering. Then the folks that didn't know are trying to ask people, like, what is that? What is that?
I can actually talk on because, when I'm reading the post, it's like, people are like, wait, I don't get it. What does that mean?
Exactly.
And it's because Miss Marvel is coming into the picture.
Yes.
And for me, I didn't know who Miss Marvel was. And remember, in our last prediction, you had actually told me about Miss Marvel. And I'm like, who's Miss Marvel?
I talked about...
And I'm like, wait, what is the power? So I got the chance to, research her, watch her, the videos about her. And I'm actually really excited. I'm super excited, and I'm glad you told me about her because then when that trailer hit, or not the trailer, but when that end credit hit, I was like stoked. I was so stoked.
So it basically led in.
Didn't know anything about her, I think that's the piece. If they knew that piece, they'd be just as stoked as well. So I think it's just a matter of if they knew her, what kind of staying up to date with what Marvel was presenting. Yeah. But it's all good.
Exactly. So just to sum it up, I mean, Joss, real quick, on our predictions, we were totally off. But actually, no, you were more money than me. My stone cold lock was Steve Rogers, and the reason why is because of the comic influence that, and I'm going to pull the curtain back because we know Chris Evans is no longer, he only had one movie to do. Now, remember I told you, Joss, is this one long movie that's going to be divided in two that Chris Evans now is contracted with? Because... I figured
I think it's a matter of if they resign.
I figured he was the lock. I would have put money on that, but no, he's around. And the two guys, Geo, you'll love this. The two guys I figured that were gonna be alive were immediately gone in the Winter Soldier and Falcon, and you know why.
Oh yeah, I was like, what? That caught me off guard. But I was
I was thrown off guard by that. I go, wait a minute.
So who am I? Okay, so I thought about Iron Man, right? You talked about him.
We talked about Iron Man.
There it is, but it's psych.
Yeah,
so then that didn't happen.
He's still around.
But then, Vision happened, and
you
then
picked
Drax.
Vision.
He was the one that I
You
thought
picked
about.
Drax.
Okay, it's almost time, but then, he didn't fight. So I'm like, all right.
My pick was even, I even had Nebula in there, but it was Gamora. You picked Gamora, though. You picked Gamora, I believe, and I picked Nebula.
I think I picked Drax. I said it was going to be a Guardian.
Okay, you did pick a Guardian. So, but yeah.
So I was close with the Drax one. I was close because I was like, they're going to fight, blah blah blah. But okay, that didn't happen.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right. So let's wrap this up real quick. So with that being said, we can already make predictions on what's going to happen. Obviously, with Ant-Man and the Wasp coming out in the summer. Like you and I said, Joss, in the previous podcast, they were a lock not to die. So, and see, here's the thing. We're pulling the curtain back. A lot of people are going, wait a minute. I thought they said they're going to do another Black Panther movie. I thought they're going to do another Spider-Man movie. I thought they're going to, okay, folks. That,
that's coming out after.
Exactly. With that being said, now here's my message to everybody who's frustrated at the ending. If you didn't even have to be a comic geek to know this. If you watch the movie, there were so many signs and hints to tell you that there's going to be a part 2 to this.
Oh, yeah.
And there is a reason why there's going to be a part 2. Because look, you have survivors and there's still going to be a part 2. And obviously bringing in Captain Marvel. And you and I talked about how Captain Marvel was one of the characters that's able to go heads up with Thanos. So obviously with the Captain Marvel movie coming out, we could already see it where she's going to be the key player to possibly get that gauntlet off him. So that's one key right there.
I think that's one key too. And also when you were talking about it, I was like, well, at first when I was watching the movie, I thought, okay, wait, are they really going to end it right here? And when the lights went up, I'm like, okay, all right, this is only part 1. But with the part 2, well, yeah, because what I was thinking about, there were so many unresolved conversations, and conversations still had to happen, like between Bruce and Natalia. Like they need to have a conversation of like, where have they been? What's been happening between the two of them, or even some sort of reconciliation between Iron Man and Captain America.
That's true too.
There are conversations that still need to happen, and then for us to get to that, that fulfilling ending, and also with the Hulk, like we said, we got to see the Hulk bring it all back, and also, with like other players like Valkyrie, where is she? Did she really die?
You know what? That's what I was wondering. Was she? Did they establish that she was killed in the beginning of the movie? That's what I was wondering, if she was still on that ship.
I'm not quite sure.
So
and also,
she wasn't
another
there.
thing that I think is also an important piece is that Hawkeye was not there for a reason.
Yeah,
and what I heard, it's like he's planning to come back. But I'm thinking that the reason why he will come back, because remember I had mentioned that the core Avengers, they're the ones who still existed. So you got to bring Hawkeye back because he was one of the core. And I'm thinking with half the population gone, I'm thinking that maybe one or two of his family members that they were gone, that he's coming back as a vengeance because he knows that his family was affected of this, so that's where he's got to come out of his hidden shelter. So I think that's going to be a huge play as far as getting the core back with Miss Marvel and like resolving all these, open conflicts or open conversations that kind of left us hanging.
All right, so my predictions, mine are kind of based on the comic and also the MCU, because I did notice that Nebula survived. So in the comic, she plays a big part as to Thanos losing his gauntlet. Yeah. So I'm going to see if she's going to play a bigger role in the next movie. Because, like I said, in the comic, he brought her back. And she was just living death, didn't feel, but was aware. So when they were fighting Thanos, he dropped the gauntlet. He actually picked it up. And she had that power. Also, another thing is, I wonder if they're going to introduce the, not the Guardians, what are the Titans.
Oh, wow.
That'd be really interesting if they introduce the Titans in the second one.
Okay, now.
They never interfered in the comics.
That's true. Now, here is the big pull the curtain conspiracy theory that I got going. I revealed it in the last podcast, but I'm going to say it in this one. Now, obviously, if you both noticed, when this movie first came out, it said Infinity War Part 1, and there would be a Part 2, obviously.
Yep,
well,
obviously.
I don't see in the poster saying Part 1 now. They took out the Part 1. So
they took that out, actually. They took that out. And they're renaming the second Avengers, so they to give it a different title.
Yeah.
Because they haven't released the title because they say the title has a lot to do with the storyline.
Okay,
so it could be misleading too. If they were to like spoil it, everyone would have different theories.
Exactly.
Of, like, how that would
Go ahead.
Oh, I said, but my major theory is, which maybe it might be obvious, I don't know, but it's all these characters that have quote unquote died. They're trapped in the Soul Stone.
Oh.
What about what about the quantum? What is it? The quantum realm? You think that's possible?
It could be, yeah. Because even here in the comic, there was one where Gamora was in the Soul Stone. So I think they're all trapped there, maybe in another realm together, and maybe they'll touch on that in the next movie.
Interesting. I think you could be onto something there. Mine, of course, is the real crazy, wild one where I'm thinking what they're going to do with recent events going on in business. And we talked about Disney being this billion-dollar company that just has 20th century now. I don't know. Maybe we might see an appearance by, I don't know, be kind of nice. But see, it's interesting because the movie's coming out. Depending what that movie does, I'm thinking maybe the Dark Phoenix or Phoenix herself could show up if they somehow get the rights in time. Phoenix shows up, or maybe even, if not, that's a little far-fetched, but this one they could probably work it if they could get the Fantastic Four in. If they could somehow get the Fantastic Four in the mix, that they will help out. That's a long shot theory that I got going out there, so I'm just throwing it out there first. But I think you're more onto it. I think you're more onto it. All these characters they are in a stone, and you are on it on that one. We will give you credit on that one, sir. But I have the long shot.
Yeah, no, I I think that's also true because I'm also thinking, like, you know, with the reason with Ant-Man coming out, when I read about it, it was about actually the technology of what has ever been developed, because they had mentioned when they had to deal with the quantum realm back in the first one, and I had to actually look it up, like, you know, look back in an old clip. I'm like, what exactly is that? But I know for the second one, they're going the contribution that Ant-Man will have with the next Avenger has to deal with that. So maybe that's also going to help explain with what you're mentioning with the Soul Stone. Maybe it's going to be able to reach them. And if that's the case, I would love to see those characters who did supposedly pass away, to actually see them engage in that realm and to actually, hear their thoughts and how they, how they banter back and forth and how they get out of there. I think that would be so interesting.
Exactly.
But here's another point I want. The directors have said not all the heroes are coming back.
Okay, makes sense.
Oh, man.
So maybe there's some kind of like, there has to be a sacrifice to keep the stone intact or something. So
here's
that's like a whole other
soul for soul.
And
soul for soul.
Here is mine. Since we're talking soul for soul, who is the character that brought that up? Soul for soul is the Red Skull. I'm thinking Steve Rogers is going to encounter the Red Skull one last time, and these two, I mean, going back with comics, are going to be battling in a dimension forever. But it's going to be a sacrifice that Steve Rogers does that gets all the heroes out or whatever like that. But I'm saying that's going to be my quote-unquote prediction. The other one was a total long shot. But I'm thinking Steve Rogers and the Red Skull are going to have one final battle in a different dimension it'll be one of those things where we are going to fight in this dimension so I could free everybody type of thing.
I like that one.
So that's going to be my pick. Because you guys mentioned the Soul Stone. Who was the guy hanging out with the Soul Stone? So definitely that's going to be my pick. Well, guys, it's been fun. Wow, we did it. We did this. We did a very, very long podcast that's going to be broken down into different parts. Hopefully some of you people have liked it.
Yeah. You have to give it an epic podcast.
Definitely. It can't be a one-time deal. We had to do different parts of it. And the great thing about
man.
Yeah, go ahead, Gio.
This is Marvel. This is Marvel, not DC.
Okay, well, speaking of Marvel, we'll preface this by saying coming out this Friday, just to set the time stamp here, would be Deadpool 2. And looks like Jocelyn has some homework for us here.
I have some homework. So, I have to admit, I did not watch the first one, but apparently we do have it here at home, so I'll be doing some homework and watching it to catch up. But I will admit to you, I'm not watching it for my Mother's Day weekend. Oh, no, I'm not.
No. Yeah, you want to kind of, we'll save off on doing our Deadpool podcast later. But obviously, Gio and I, we're really looking forward to it. We are really looking forward to that. Definitely looking forward to that. So, yeah. So everybody who's been listening, we really appreciate you guys listening to our podcast right now. And Joss, again, give a plug to where folks can find you besides what they're hearing right now.
Okay. So, yes, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Jocelyn RP, and then you can follow me on my daily blogs. Watch Jocelyn RP channel on Facebook and Instagram.
Sounds good. And DJ Geo-C, you got anything to plug?
Yes, sir. You can check out the website, DJ Geo-C. That's DJGEOC.com. Blogs, music, mixes, all that good stuff. And if you want to, I'll DJ your house party and whatnot. So hit me up on the website as well. So there you go.
There we go, folks. There we go. Good work. And I'm Lou P. And hey, thanks for listening. And again, if you can, please leave your comments. We'd love to hear your comments. Good, bad. If we were off, if we were right, if you agree with us or you think we're crazy, that's fine. Please leave a comment on the comment box and we'll catch you back on the other side. Thanks for listening.